Alright guys, so Scathach Fest has officially been announced, and it's time for me to do my event guide for this one, because this is going to be bringing not only a really good Lotto event to the NA version of the game, but a new function to the game in Grailfront, which I know a lot of NA players may not have experienced, because maybe you haven't been playing JP for like the last 2 years, where we've had a couple of these, and maybe you're just not as familiar. I'm going to break all of that down and more in today's video. We're going to go over everything you need to know for this event, but before we begin, if you have not already, make sure you leave a like on the video and you subscribe to the channel, as your boy is out here doing daily FGO content, making sure that you stay informed. But if you have more questions or you just want to see me play FGO live, I do that every weekday over my Twitch, which is linked down in the description down below, and I usually start around 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But enough of all that shilling towards the beginning of the video. Let's start talking about this event and informing you guys of everything that you need to know before you go into this event. So first and foremost, you're going to be having this new mode called Grailfront. Now, this might seem big and scary and everything, especially if you've seen any of the videos that I've done on PvP where I've included some gameplay from this event. It's really not that difficult. As long as you're smart about your servant placement and everything, and you don't let yourself get jumped too often, you should be able to make it through scot-free and get yourself a free grail, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to complete all of these different grail fronts, combine all your pieces to get yourself a free holy grail. So it's really good in that avenue. I guess the only thing is that you do need to level up a few different servants. You're going to want to at least have one person to go per class, because it's not like you can just bring Yugioh Altar to every single one, right, if you've got him. Because as you can kind of see, I know these images are a little bit small, but you can make out we have the little class symbols here. This means you can only bring servants of those classes into this fight. And also keep in mind, you're under a cost restriction, so you can't just load up like all of your 5 stars, all of your 5-star CEs. Like, no, that's not going to work, because CEs and servants are going to contribute to your cost. So, hey, if you're a free-to-play god, you know, you've got your coup, max grailed, you've got your, you know, I don't know, some other, like, really good 3-star servant, drawing a blank. I don't know, Lubu, there you go, some other good guy, you know? Yeah, you got the max grailed and everything. You can absolutely just run a train on the event, because you'll have these very, very strong, cheap servants that are just ready to go. But if you're going to be using more of your 4- and 5-star servants, you might have to sacrifice the ability to not use CEs or something along those lines, right? Which you should be fine to do. I've beaten all of these Grail fronts without really needing to rely on CEs or everything. I've played all of them on my Twitch. So if you want to check that out, that's, you know, linked down in the description down below. But realistically, the thing you just got to worry about is kind of like your timing and your placing, because as you can kind of see in some of these spaces, let's say that if you're in this space right here and you got an enemy servant to the left and to the right, if the servant on the right or the servant to the left attacks you, they will both jump you, and they will be able to attack you before you can use any of your mystic codes or any of your skills to kind of defend yourself. So that also means that you kind of want to time your skills in a way that you're prepared that the enemy might attack you, right? So you might want to go ahead and just preface, for instance, popping Ku's dodge skill, so whenever they run into your Ku, they don't just absolutely obliterate them. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. You do have a break bar for each of your servants, as does the enemy, but that does prevent you from just getting absolutely steamrolled by some surprise attack or something. Realistically, it's not that hard. It's not really going to be the focus of the event. I know they kind of want it to be, but with this being a Lotto, this is going to be like a nice side piece of content, introducing people to a new game mode and everything. And all I can really recommend is just kind of get your main DPS servants ready. You're going to want AoEs and you're going to want single targets, because you can also take advantage of jumping numerous opposing servants at once as well. Like, let's say you've got Yugioh Altar, who I mentioned earlier, and you run into like 2 servants at a time. You can Yugioh Altar, pop his NP, take both of them out, or at least break both of their break bars simultaneously, and then they won't attack you back, because if you break their break bar, they just retreat. So overall, shouldn't be all that hard to conquer this. You just really need to make sure you have servants ready to go, right? I just make sure you have at least 1 servant per class kind of ready, just so that way you're kind of able to take down whatever they throw at you, right? Overall, really shouldn't be that difficult for a lot of people. May take a little bit of getting used to, but you should be fine as long as you have a decent Chaldea. Then we're going to go ahead and move on over to the rank up that Skyhawk's going to be getting over here. This is absolutely broken for her, because if you guys don't know, let me just go ahead and show this. If I click on this, will it actually pull up Skyhawk? Yes, it will. All right. So if you guys don't know, she has this chance-based thing on her first skill, which makes her really insane because it gives her a good star weight on top of already having some decent natural star weight as a Lancer. Nothing too insane. She's not a rider or an archer or anything, but it is decent. So with this, she could suck up all the stars. 50% crit damage for 3 turns is really good, but it's chance-based. And you guys know if you played FGO for any extended period of time, if it's not 100%, it might as well just say 0%. But that's where her second skill really comes in clutch because it's going to give her this 20% buff success rate over here. 20 plus 80% equals 100%. So while this skill is up, her first skill is guaranteed. And then it also gives her a 20% battery. I mean, assuming you use it on her, because it's whoever you targeted on that's getting the quick buff is going to get the 20% and the buff success rate. But, you know, you're obviously supposed to use it with Skyhawk. The 20% battery is really nice to kind of help her be a little consistent because as you guys know, or maybe you don't, Skyhawk's a little bit weird when it comes to genning her NP. The most valid way to gen her NP is through her Buster cards with an Arts Elite. I know it's very, very strange. So yeah, this is going to make her a lot better. It definitely helps her out a lot. And you also get this bunny costume for Skyhawk. So if you have Skyhawk like your boy does, you're going to be able to take advantage of this pretty adorable costume for Skyhawk. But then let's move on to the free-to-play CE. Unfortunately, this really isn't going to be any like free-to-play godly CE that like every master must get. I mean, you should probably get it, but don't max limit break it until the event is over because this is going to be how you get a lot of your lotto material. As you guys can see, it gives you the drop rate buff right there. But even after the event is over, if you max limit break it, I mean, the guts might be nice if you're like a master that maybe doesn't have something like that and you want to use it for like some kind of event boss strategy. The 10% buster is not a terrible effect, but you could probably put better things on your servants. It's also a little unfortunate that it's a split CE. If you guys don't know, there are CEs that give you max attack and max HP. This is one of the unfortunate ones that splits between the two, so you're not getting that full 2000 attack if you take the CE to level 100. But you know, not the worst thing in the world, but you're not going to be bending over backwards to use this CE a lot, unless, you know, you just like the artwork, I suppose. I don't know. But yeah, then we're going to be getting some pretty nice command codes for the event. I really like the Da Vinci one. The fact that like it gives you an 8% NP damage buff for all allies is really strong. Just getting that little bit of extra damage, especially if you're a servant that doesn't have an NP damage buff, can be really nice because, you know, it can allow you to double buff or even triple buff yourself because different buff types in FGO are multiplicative. So let's say you put this on a servant that only has a card buff and an attack buff. You slap this on them, they attack with this card, they get the NP damage buff. Now they're triple buffing themselves. It's just a very, very nice CE. Not the most broken thing in the world, I know, but it is really nice. Like, you can use it for some combos, and it is really, really good. Then we have the Nemo CE over here. The 2 stars when attacking, not the craziest thing. Maybe slap this on an arts card. I don't know if you want extra stars. Maybe put it on a buster card for a buster servant for those extra 2 critty stars. I mean, kind of pairs nice with the 20-30 with a non-maximum broken one. That means you gen 10 stars that turn, and if you have a maximum broken 20-30 plus this, you generated 12 stars per turn. I guess you could look at it that way, but I think one of the really cool things is removing the defense debuffs from yourself. I think that's really, really good. Being able to kind of like defend yourself a little bit more and not get absolutely slammed into the ground by the enemy. But not the most insane thing, but you could have some utility with it. And then, yeah, I mean, this isn't the worst. I mean, because we do know that enemies like to spam critical attack chance buffs on themselves. So it is nice that you can kind of remove it. Maybe put this on one of your more boss killing servants. That way you can use it to like remove enemy crit buffs. And then also give yourself, I don't know, just a little bit of 5% extra crit damage. It's not going to do anything super insane for you, but it could be nice, you know. But overall, the Da Vinci one's kind of nice. Don't know if you're going to really make use of the Nemo one over here. But the Ku one can be pretty good on like a boss killing servant, right? Overall, they're fine, but not exactly like the, oh, we get the 20% extra damage against like divines and some of the crazier command codes that we've gotten. But you should still pick them all up. They're still all fairly nice. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the nodes that you're going to be farming for the event. So if you guys have never done a lottery before for FGO, you're going to be playing a lot of these nodes. You're going to be farming these repeatedly, and I'm just kind of tailoring this towards what everybody should be able to do, because not everyone's going to be able to do this legend node, but everyone should be able to do the phase 1 hero and the phase 2 hero, because you can do both of these with Jason, right? I would know because I did this on the JP version of the game when I first started my account. I got myself a Jason, slapped on my Castoria, got a friend Castoria, and went to work. Jason is a free servant in the friend point gacha. Get him to NP5, level up, his attack buff just to make sure that he's clearing. You know, that's all you got to do. I mean, even just getting that skill to 9 is perfectly fine. I didn't get it to 10 when I was doing this on the JP version of the game. If you don't have your own Castoria, maybe you're new, just use whatever you can to try to buff that guy's like NP gain and damage. Paracelsus is really good, giving a massive NP gain buff and a pretty decent arts buff that'll definitely help Jason out. Jason's also really good for these because he starts to loop better as the fight goes on because he stacks an arts buff on his NP. So if you're not able to do the legend for phase 1 and phase 2, don't worry. You will be able to do the legend for phase 3. At least you should, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But if you're just trying to be like, oh, I want to do the hardest node and really like farm the best I can, don't worry about it. If you're going to be spamming a lot of apples and everything and you're going to like really be going for it, then just get yourself a Jason. He can definitely get the job done, and he is, again, a free-to-play, a 5-star servant. Trust me, he'll get the job done. Just throw as many buffs as you have at him. Definitely bring like a friend Castoria if you don't have your own. But then finally, everyone should be able to realistically do the phase 3. You can do this setup with Chen Gong. Again, Chen Gong, free AoE arts caster, basically a Rash, but he's arts, right? And doesn't actually commit die. He makes other people around him commit die, and you're going to take that to your advantage here. So he's going to be a little bit harder to get because he's a 2-star on the friend point gacha, which means his rates are a little worse, but trust me, it's going to be worth it because you're going to be able to farm a lot of boxes, and this is when you're going to want to go ham taro because, like, let's say you don't have the ability to do these legends, and maybe you don't want to waste your apples on subpar farming on the hero nodes, then save everything for this, right? Because this is something that everybody should be able to do, especially because we have free waiver. If you don't know what Chen Gong is going to be doing, basically, you're not trying to loop 100% of your NP. You're going to use Chen Gong to cycle through supports that are going to give him NP. Literally slap in anybody you can get. You should have a free-to-play waiver from completing Fuyuki. If you've got Scotty, she's fine because she can lower defense and she can give you a 50% battery. If you got Castoria, you're definitely throwing her in there. If you got, I mean, Reigns, anybody like that, Nero Bride, they will all definitely help out. Just as long as they can give this guy fat globs of NP, some NP gain, and some kind of offensive buff, right? Whether it be Scotty lowering defense, or it be, you know, a waiver giving you an attack buff. Reigns is kind of iffy because she doesn't give you really any damage, but she will give you 50%, and that's arguably more important, right? And so you're going to use that Chen Gong to cycle through all of your guys, and they're just going to just funnel all of that NP into you. Now, the only unfortunate thing is that, like, I think if you literally only have waiver, I'm not sure if you actually can do it. I think you need at least 2 supports with 50% to get it done, from what I remember. But I mean, hey, waiver being free takes care of one of the hard parts. If you can cycle again through like even like a Nero Bride or somebody, they will definitely help you out a lot. And just try to find something that can just make it work, right? Like, just try to get Chen Gong as much NP as possible because he'll do the damage. I believe for this last node, you need to use like maybe a plug suit attack buff or something along those lines, because this can be a roll right here. So you want to make sure that you save like your mystic code offensive buff or whatever mystic code you're using for this node right here. But yeah, this is like the one that if you can't do the other ones and you don't want to do quote-unquote suboptimal farming with Jason on these 2 nodes, then you're definitely going to want to hit this one hard with Chen Gong. Just make sure you have a few supports to cycle through. I know that's like the main part that people are looking for, like, how do I farm this? Now, if you got stronger boxes, feel free to just go absolute ham on these nodes over here. Although, I went with this one because, as you can see, the drop rate's not as good as some of the later ones. You're only getting 3s across the board. These are at least 3 to 4s, so these are a tad bit better than farming this one. I wouldn't go hard on phase 1. I would wait till at least phase 2 and phase 3. If you're someone that can do this one at the highest level, like if you do have an account that's able to handle this and you're able to farm this, then definitely go ham with that. I mean, you could try to use Chen Gong with this as well, but you might run into the same problems as this one. You know, whichever one you find preferable, make sure it's one of these 2 and you hit it really hard. You know, maybe it comes down to the material. Maybe you need mirrors more than you need hearts, but yeah. With that, we're coming to the end, which is going to be the actual rewards for the lotto. So it's going to have a lot of stuff that everybody's going to really want. I know that I'm personally really down on hero proof, so I'm really looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to getting all of the QP and the EXP cards, because if you guys don't know, JP just implemented a buff for their anniversary, where anytime you get a non-free-to-play servant, so someone like Kentucky Rider, right? Like the friend point servants actually still count to get you quartz whenever you get them to their final ascension. You don't have to max level them, you just have to get them to their 4th ascension, and you get 3 Saint quartz per servant that you do that. So I know that I'm gonna be trying to level up a lot of servants, you know, in preparation for the 7th anniversary to get all those juicy Saint quartz, especially because right after that anniversary we have the Murderer's Row of insane 7th summer servants. So definitely start hoarding experience cards, level up your guys, get your QP, grail some servants, level up skills, all that good stuff. Collect the very juicy rewards here in the bones, proofs, gears, and what are they called? Feathers. It actually will change though halfway through. I believe like after you do 10, I believe it's when it actually cuts off and you don't get certain rewards anymore. But also make sure you hold on to these as well. I believe you can exchange those for QP at the end of the day. Yeah, these are the first 10 boxes. Once you've opened your 10th box, you'll no longer get these anymore, and this is just basically what you'll get every time you open a full box. But with that being said, I hope you guys are prepared for the event. It's going to be quite a doozy. Again, your enjoyment of the event is probably going to come down to how well you're able to farm a lot of these. I wouldn't, again, particularly worry too much about Phase 1. Phase 2 is when you can kind of hit the ground running. You know, worst case, you can do Jason farming here. You might be able to get something working with Chen Gong if you have enough supports to go around with him. And then Chen Gong can also farm this one as well. But I think this is actually easier for him to do. So yeah, again, it's really good that the servants that are able to do the farming for this event for some of the better nodes are free-to-plays. It's more or less like, do you have the servants to back them up, right? At least for Chen Gong down here for his setups, it's like you don't like quote-unquote need Castoria. I mean, this one is easier to do with, you know, Castoria because, you know, you're not farming against Berserkers, and especially not just one Berserker at a time where you're not getting, you know, no NP refund. But you could also do things like, I don't know, if you happen to have let's say Kentucky Berserker, you can use him to clear wave 1 and then have Chen Gong clear the next 2 waves. Like, you can get creative and stuff along those lines, just as long as you're, like, trying to efficiently farm, right? You want to load up on these CEs as much as possible, but, you know, if you're going to be, like, 18 turning something, it's probably better to maybe make some concessions and, like, give your Kentucky a 50% battery, like one of those CEs, instead of giving him this, if it's going to make you a little bit more efficient, right? You kind of have to balance that out from yourself, though, and decide, like, is it worth running 4 CEs, but I'm able to clear it in 3 turns because, like, overall, with the amount of apples I'm spending, I'll even out? Or are you not going to go that hard, and you're not really going to be farming all that much, so it's just more worth to just load up and do, like, 10-turn farming, right? That's kind of stuff you have to determine for yourself. If you have any further questions, I do stream again every weekday, and I'll be more than happy to talk to people about their farming setups and whatnot. I also have my Discord, which is linked down in the description down below. If you have any questions and if I'm not there, someone can definitely help you out. We have quite the robust FGO chat going on. There will definitely be someone there that if I'm not there, that they can help you out. But with that being said, make sure you leave a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm wishing everybody happy farming. It's going to be a little hectic starting Monday at reset. So yeah, it's definitely going to be quite a doozy. Hope everybody enjoys the event. And oh, before I forget, if you are interested, I did upload a video about last week about a secret pack tournament. If you're interested in competing for a little bit of money in a fun Master Duel tournament, it's not going to be super sweaty, I promise. We're trying to do it in a fun way with some of the restrictions, I think. And if you're interested in that, make sure you hit me up in the Discord. All the information is in that video. If you have any further questions, feel free to DM me. But yeah, with that being said, now I'm officially going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. Peace. Lace, guys.